Kang Wu stood at the window of his small room on the spaceship Unity's Dawn. Outside, stars moved slowly past as the ship traveled through space. In 3 hours, they would reach Nexus Prime, the most important planet in the galaxy. Today would decide if humans could join the Galactic Council or not. He touched the small photo in his pocket. It showed his wife and daughter back on Earth. They were smiling at the camera in their garden. His daughter had drawn him a picture before he left. It showed stick figures of aliens and humans holding hands under a yellow sun. She wrote, "Daddy, we'll make friends with the space people," in her messy writing. Wu hoped she was right. The door to his room opened with a soft sound. Park Hana walked in. She was tall and strong, with short black hair and serious eyes. She wore the blue uniform of Earth's space military. A laser gun hung at her side. "We need to talk," Hana said. She sat down across from him at the small table. "I got new information from Earth Command." Wu turned from the window. He was shorter than Hana, with kind eyes behind thin glasses. His diplomatic uniform was simple and gray. No weapons, no military signs. That was the point. Humans wanted to look peaceful. "What kind of information?" he asked. Hana pulled out a data pad. Pictures of alien ships appeared on the screen. "There are more military ships around Nexus Prime than usual. A lot more. Some species brought their biggest warships." Wu looked at the pictures. He saw the long, silver ships of the Veltar people. Their ships looked like giant crystals that could cut through space. The round, glowing ships of the Nethys were there too. Those ships had no solid parts. They were made of gas and energy held together by force fields. "Maybe they always have. This many ships," Wu said. "The Council controls thousands of worlds. They need protection." "Maybe," Hana said, but she did not sound like she believed it. "Wu, I have been thinking, what if some of them do not want us to join? What if they invited us here to say no in front of everyone?" Wu sat down and picked up his speech papers. He had read them 100 times. They talked about human achievements, human values, and human hopes for peace. Earth's best writers had worked on every word. "The Council has rules," he said. "They have to be fair. We have done everything they asked. We shared our medical knowledge. We helped stop 3 wars between other species. We built homes for refugees on Mars and the Moon. They have no good reason to reject us." Li Te knocked on the door and entered. He was young and excited, always smiling. His job was to handle communications with other species. He spoke 12 alien languages. "The Council just sent us a message," Te said. "They want us to dock at Station 7. That is the diplomatic station, very fancy. They are treating us with respect." Yoon Mira came in behind Te. She was quiet and smart, an expert on alien cultures. She had spent 2 years learning how each species thought and acted. Her job was to help Wu avoid making mistakes. "I studied the docking assignment," Mira said. "Station 7 is good, but I noticed something strange. The Veltar and Nethys delegations requested private meetings with the Council before our hearing. That is not normal." Wu felt a small worry in his stomach. The Veltar and Nethys had never liked humans. The Veltar were ancient beings made of living crystal. They thought young species like humans were dangerous and stupid. The Nethys were creatures of gas and electricity. They believed only pure energy beings deserved respect. "What could they want to discuss?" Wu asked. "I do not know," Mira said. "But in my research I learned that both species have pushed to keep other young species out of the Council before. They succeeded 3 times in the past 1,000 years. Hana stood up and checked her weapon. "I still think this feels like a trap. Why not hold the meeting on Earth or a neutral world? Why make us come to their strongest system?" "Because that is how the Council works," Wu said. "They want to see if we trust them. If we were afraid to come here, they would say humans are too suspicious to join. We have to show faith in their system." The ship's communications system made a soft sound. The captain's voice filled the room. "Attention all passengers. We are now entering the Nexus Prime system. Docking in 90 minutes. Please prepare for arrival procedures." Wu looked out the window again. Nexus Prime grew larger as they approached. The planet was covered in massive cities that glowed with different colored lights. Around it, hundreds of space stations floated like metal moons. Ships moved between them like tiny insects. This was the center of galactic civilization. 12 species had worked together here for over 2,000 years. They had stopped wars, shared knowledge, and explored the galaxy together. It was everything humans hoped to become part of. "I know you are all worried," Wu said to his team, "but think about what we are doing. 3 years ago, humans thought we were alone in the universe. Now we are about to join the most powerful alliance in the galaxy. Our children will grow up as citizens of 1,000 worlds." Tay smiled. "My little sister wants to study on the 4th homeworld. She loves their mathematics." "My nephew wants to be a space explorer," Mira added. "He dreams of finding new planets." Even Hana's face softened a little. "My daughter drew pictures of alien friends she wants to meet." Wu nodded. "That is what we are fighting for. Not just membership in the council, but a future where human children can reach for the stars without fear." The ship shook gently as it entered the docking bay. Through the window, Wu could see alien workers directing their ship into position. Some looked like giant lizards with tool hands. Others were floating balls of light that moved equipment with energy beams. "Remember the plan," Wu said. "We show them our best side. We prove that humans can be trusted with power. We make them see that we want to build, not destroy." Hana checked her weapon one more time. "And if something goes wrong?" "Nothing will go wrong," Wu said firmly. "The council has rules. They have honor. They do not hurt diplomats." The docking process finished with a soft thud. Outside, Wu could see a group of alien officials waiting to greet them. There were 3 Korth lizard people in golden robes. 2 Zephyrian insect beings with rainbow wings stood beside them. Even a tall, blue-skinned humanoid from the distant Altair system was there. "Look," Wu pointed. "They sent a welcoming committee with 6 different species. That is a good sign." Tay gathered his translation equipment. Mira picked up her cultural reference guides. Hana made sure her uniform looked perfect and professional. "Whatever happens in there," Wu said, "remember that we represent all of humanity. Every word we speak, every action we take, will be judged by 12 species and reported across the galaxy. We carry the hopes of 8 billion people." The airlock door opened with a hiss. Cool, clean air flowed in from the station. It smelled like metal and electricity, with hints of exotic flowers from alien worlds. Wu stepped forward first, as the chief diplomat. His team followed close behind. The alien officials bowed in the style of their different species. The universal translator devices turned their words into perfect English. "Welcome to Nexus Prime, Ambassador Kang Wu of Earth," said the lead Korth official. "The Galactic Council is honored by your presence. We hope this day brings understanding between our peoples." "The honor is ours," Wu replied, bowing back. "Humanity comes in peace, seeking friendship and cooperation with all sentient beings." They walked through the station corridors toward the council chambers. Wu felt hope growing in his chest. The aliens around them seemed friendly and respectful. Children of different species played together in the parks they passed. Merchants from dozens of worlds sold goods in peaceful markets. This was the future he wanted for humanity, a future where his daughter could walk safely among the stars, where human knowledge could help heal alien worlds, where the barriers between species meant nothing. He had no idea that in 6 hours he would be screaming in agony as his skin burned away, begging for mercy that would never come. The Grand Assembly Chamber was the most amazing room Kang Wu had ever seen. It was shaped like a giant ball, with seats for different alien species arranged in circles around the center. The walls were made of clear crystal that showed the stars outside. Floating platforms held delegates who needed different atmospheres to breathe. Wu stood at a podium in the center. His voice echoed through translation devices that turned his words into the languages of 12 different species. Around him, hundreds of alien beings watched and listened. "Honored council members," Wu began, "I speak for 8 billion humans who look to the stars with hope. We offer our friendship, our knowledge, and our commitment to peace." The first part of the hearing went well. Wu talked about human achievements over the past 3 years. He showed pictures of the medical research humans had shared freely. Earth doctors had found cures for 3 diseases that killed aliens. They gave the information away for free. He showed videos of human engineers building homes for refugees. When the Korth people had a civil war, humans built cities on Mars for those who fled. No payment was asked for. It was simply the right thing to do. The reptilian Korth delegate stood up on his platform. His scales were dark green and his voice was deep and rough. The Korth people remember human kindness. When our world burned with war, humans opened their arms to our children. We support their membership in this council. Several other delegates nodded in agreement. The insect-like Zephyrians buzzed approval. Their rainbow wings fluttered as their speaker stood. Humans stopped the war between our colonies and the Rigel miners, the Zephyrian delegate said. Their diplomats worked for months without rest. They asked for nothing but peace. We also support their membership. Wu felt hope growing in his chest. Maybe this would be easier than he thought. Then everything changed. A musical sound filled the chamber like wind chimes made of starlight. It came from the Veltar section. Veltar Prime Crystal rose from its platform. The being was 12 feet, tall and made of living crystal that glowed with inner light. When it spoke, its voice was like beautiful music, but the words were cold. The council must consider all evidence before making this decision, Prime Crystal sang. We have prepared a presentation about human nature that this body must see. The chamber's screens lit up with images from Earth's history. Pictures of human wars filled the walls, soldiers with guns, cities on fire, nuclear explosions that turned everything to ash. Observe the human species in their natural state, Prime Crystal continued. In the past century alone, they have waged 2 global wars. They created weapons capable of destroying their entire planet. They have killed over 100 million of their own kind. Wu's heart began to beat faster. This was not fair. Those wars happened long ago before humans knew they were not alone in the universe. Those conflicts ended decades ago, Wu said firmly. Humanity learned from those mistakes. We have had global peace for 30 years. 30 years, Prime Crystal sang mockingly. A brief moment for a species that has spent thousands of years perfecting the art of murder. Look at their weapons technology. New images appeared. Earth's military ships, the laser cannons humans had built to defend against asteroids, descriptions of human combat training. They prepare for war even as they speak of peace, Prime Crystal said. Their ships carry weapons powerful enough to crack planets. Their soldiers train in thousands of ways to kill. This is not the nature of a peaceful species. Delegate after delegate began to look worried. The gas being Nethys Cloudmind floated forward on its platform. When it spoke, its voice was like wind through empty spaces. We have studied human psychology, Cloudmind whispered. They are a predator species. They evolved by hunting and killing other creatures. This nature cannot be changed by a few decades of peace. Wu felt panic rising in his throat. Everything was going wrong. He had to make them understand. Yes, humans were once warriors, he said, but we chose to become more. We chose cooperation over conflict. We chose to protect the weak instead of conquering them. That choice makes us stronger, not weaker. Pretty words, Prime Crystal sang. But actions reveal truth. Humans cannot resist their violent nature when tested. Cloudmind drifted closer to the center of the chamber. We propose a test. Let this human prove his words with deeds. Let him face the trial of truth. A shocked silence filled the chamber. Several delegates gasped or made sounds of surprise. The trial of truth was an ancient ritual, older than the council itself. It had not been used in hundreds of years. The trial of truth is forbidden, protested the Korth delegate. We abandoned such barbaric practices long ago, not forbidden, Cloudmind corrected. Only unused. The law still permits it when the nature of a species is in question. Wu looked around the chamber. Half the delegates looked shocked and angry, but others seemed curious, and some seemed afraid to speak against the powerful Veltar and Nethys. What does this trial involve? Wu asked. Prime Crystal's glow grew brighter. Simple. You claim humans value peace above all else. You say you will endure any hardship for your principles. The trial will test this claim. How? Wu's voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. Heat, Cloudmind whispered. We will gradually increase the temperature around you. If your beliefs are true, you will maintain them even under physical stress. If they are false, you will reveal your true nature when pain strips away your pretenses. This is madness, Park Hana said from the observer section. You cannot torture a diplomat. Not torture, Prime Crystal sang sweetly. A test. He may stop at any time by admitting that humans are naturally violent and unfit for council membership. Wu's mind raced. If he refused the trial, it would look like humans were afraid. The council would reject Earth's membership, but if he agreed, how hot? He asked. Hot enough to be uncomfortable, Cloudmind said. We are not barbarians. We seek only to create enough stress to reveal true character. Many council members spoke at once, arguing about the trial. Some said it was wrong, others said the law allowed it. The debate grew louder and more heated. Finally, the council speaker called for order. She was an ancient being from a species that looked like living trees. Her voice was slow and deep. The law does permit the trial of truth in cases where species character is disputed, she said sadly. Ambassador Wu, you may refuse this test, but refusal will be taken as evidence that your species fears examination. Wu looked at his team. Hana was shaking her head desperately. Tay looked terrified. Mira was frantically checking her cultural database for information about the trial, but Wu thought about his daughter's drawing, stick figures holding hands under a yellow sun. He thought about human children who dreamed of walking among the stars. He thought about 8 billion people depending on him. I accept the trial, he said firmly. Wu, no, Hana shouted. But security! Guards were already moving to keep the human delegation in their seats. A containment field appeared around Wu. It glowed with soft blue light. He could breathe normally and move freely inside it, but he could not leave. The trial begins, Prime Crystal announced. Maintain your claims about human nature, Ambassador. Show us this peaceful character you praise so highly. The temperature began to rise. At first it was just warm, like a summer day. Wu continued speaking about human values. He talked about cooperation, about protecting the innocent, about choosing peace over violence. The heat increased. It felt like standing too close to a fire. Sweat began to form on Wu's forehead. His voice stayed steady. Humans have learned that true strength comes from building, not destroying, he said. We want to add our knowledge to the galaxy's wisdom, not take from others by force. Hotter still. Now it felt like being inside an oven. Wu's uniform began to stick to his skin with sweat. His breathing became heavier, but he kept talking. We offer friendship to all species. We believe every sentient being has value. We choose understanding over fear. Several council members were demanding the trial stop. The Korth delegate was shouting. The Zephyrian was buzzing frantically. Even some neutral species looked uncomfortable. But Prime Crystal and Cloudmind controlled the chamber's systems. The temperature kept rising. Now it was truly hot. Wu's skin began to redden. His voice cracked, but he continued speaking about human dreams of peace and cooperation. Please, the tree-like council speaker said. This has gone far enough. Not yet, Prime Crystal sang. He has not broken. We must see what lies beneath these noble words. The heat became unbearable. Wu's skin began to blister. He gasped for air that burned his lungs. But still he spoke. Humans choose to protect the innocent, he managed between breaths. We choose peace, even when others choose war. His uniform began to smoke. The smell of burning fabric filled the chamber. Several delegates left their seats trying to stop the trial, but the containment field would not respond to their commands. Stop this! Hana screamed. You are murdering him! Prime Crystal's glow became blindingly bright. Truth emerges under pressure. Let us see human nature revealed. The temperature passed the point where human skin could survive. Wu's flesh began to burn. He screamed in agony, but between screams he continued to speak. Humans choose peace, he gasped. We choose love over hate. Please, understand. We want to build, not destroy. The quantum communication array deep beneath the United Nations building in New York had been silent for 18 hours. Then it screamed to life with an emergency signal from the Nexus Prime system. Kim Jun was sleeping when his security detail woke him. As Secretary General of Earth's United Government, he was used to late-night emergencies. Wars, Natural disasters, trade disputes, he had handled them all. But the look on his aide's face told him this was different. "Sir, we have an emergency transmission from the diplomatic mission," the aide said, his voice shaking. "Park Hana is alive and escaped custody. The message is, sir, you need to see this yourself." Kim Jun pulled on his clothes and rushed to the communications center. The underground facility was buzzing with activity. Technicians worked frantically at their stations, while military officers stood around looking grim. Admiral Choi Bin was already there, still wearing his sleeping clothes under a hastily thrown-on uniform jacket. His face was white with shock. Beside him stood Han Su, the Director of Human Intelligence Services. Han Su never showed emotion, but tonight his hands were shaking. "Show me," Kim Jun said. The main screen lit up with Park Hana's face. She was hiding in what looked like a maintenance tunnel. Her uniform was torn and she had cuts on her face. Her eyes were red from crying. "Secretary General, this is Park Hana reporting from Nexus Prime. The diplomatic mission has failed. Ambassador Kang Wu is dead." Her voice broke on the last word. The room fell silent except for the hum of machinery. The Galactic Council subjected him to something called the Trial of Truth. They said it was a test of character. They burned him alive, sir. They burned him alive while he begged them to understand that humans want peace. Kim Jun felt the world spinning around him. Kang Wu was dead, the gentle diplomat who had spent 3 years building bridges between species. Hana continued her report. "Li Tae and Yoon Mira are in council custody. I escaped during a prisoner transfer. I have video evidence of what they did. Li Tae managed to record the trial before they captured him." The screen changed to show the inside of the council chamber. Kim Jun watched in horror as Kang Wu stood in the containment field, speaking about human values while his skin began to burn. He listened to Wu's final words about children walking among the stars in peace. When the video ended, the command center was completely silent. Several people were crying. Admiral Choi Bin's face had turned from white to red with rage. "They murdered him," Choi Bin said quietly. "They tortured our diplomat to death while he begged for peace." Han Su stepped forward. His voice was perfectly calm, which somehow made it more frightening. "Sir, I recommend we activate all military assets immediately. This is an act of war." Kim Jun stared at the dark screen where Wu's death had played out. He thought about the man's wife and daughter. How could he tell them that their husband and father had been burned alive for the crime of believing in peace? "Contact all world leaders," Kim Jun ordered. "Emergency session of the Global Security Council in 1 hour, and get me a direct line to Earth Defense Command." Within an hour, the most powerful people on Earth were gathered in the secure conference room. Some attended in person, others by hologram from their home countries. The President of the Americas, the Premier of the Asian Alliance, the Chancellor of the European Federation, all of them had the same look of shock and rage. Kim Jun played the video of Wu's execution. When it finished, the room erupted in angry voices. "This is barbarism," shouted the African Union representative. "They burned a peaceful man alive for sport." "We must respond," said the Russian Premier. "If we do nothing, they will think humans are weak." "Respond how?" asked the Chinese leader. "They have 12 species with thousands of ships. We have a few dozen exploration vessels." Admiral Choi Bin stood up. For the first time that night, he smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "Actually, we have considerably more than that," he said. "May I present Project Deep Strike?" The room's screens changed to show technical specifications that made everyone gasp. Ship designs unlike anything publicly known, weapon systems that seemed impossible, fleet numbers that dwarfed anything Earth was supposed to possess. For 3 years, while our diplomats worked for peace, our military prepared for war, Choi Bin explained. "We hoped we would never need these weapons, but we knew that a galaxy filled with predators might not welcome new competition." Nam Yuki, the chief scientist of the Quantum Communications Division, stepped forward. She was small and quiet, but her words carried the weight of human genius. "We have been building in the spaces between stars," she said. "Self-replicating, factories powered by solar collectors. They have been working non-stop for 3 years, creating ships and weapons beyond anything the Council has seen." She activated a holographic display that showed the solar system. Dots of light appeared in the empty space between planets. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Each dot represents a fully armed battleship, Nam Yuki continued. We currently have 57,000 ships ready for combat, with more completing construction every hour. The world leaders stared in amazement. The President of the Americas spoke first. You built a secret fleet of 50,000 ships without anyone knowing? The Council believes humans are simple and peaceful, Han Su said. We encourage that belief. While they watched our exploration ships and trade vessels, our real military was hidden where they would never think to look. But that's not all, Admiral Choi Bin added. Show them the special projects, Nam Yuki. The hologram changed to show weapon designs that looked like science fiction. Quantum disruptors that could break apart matter at the molecular level. Gravity, bombs that could crush entire fleets. Biological weapons designed specifically for each alien species' physiology. We studied every council species for 3 years, Nam Yuki explained. We know their weaknesses, their ship designs, their military tactics. We know which diseases affect them and which gases are toxic to their biology. You plan to genocide 12 species? The European Chancellor asked in horror. We plan to defend ourselves if they proved hostile, Kim Jun corrected. The biological weapons are not lethal. They cause severe illness that forces military personnel to abandon their posts. We could have built planet killers, but we chose not to. Admiral Choi Bin activated another display. It showed the locations of Council military bases throughout the galaxy. We also have assets in place, he said. For 3 years, our intelligence operatives have posed as students, traders, and cultural exchange participants. They have infiltrated every major council facility. Han Su stepped forward. Our people are in position at 17 major military installations, 34 communication hubs, and 47 government facilities. When we give the signal, the Council's ability to coordinate their forces will disappear. The room was quiet as the world leaders absorbed this information. Finally, the Russian premier spoke. You are saying we could actually win a war against the entire Galactic Council? We are saying we could end such a war in a matter of days, Admiral Choi Bin replied. The question is, do we want to? Kim Jun looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. He saw anger, fear, and determination. But he also saw something else, a kind of cold calculation that reminded him of how predators looked at prey. They wanted to see humanity's true nature, he said quietly. Kang Wu died telling them we were peaceful. But they chose to murder him anyway. The Chinese leader leaned forward. What are you suggesting? Kim Jun stood up and walked to the window that showed the city lights of New York. Millions of people lived there, most of them sleeping peacefully, unaware that their species had just been pushed to the edge of galactic war. They want to see our monsters, he said. Perhaps it's time we showed them. The vote was unanimous. Every world leader, every military commander, every intelligence chief, they all agreed. The Galactic Council had made a fatal mistake when they chose to torture an innocent diplomat to death. Admiral Choi Bin, Kim Jun ordered, activate all military assets. I want our fleets in position within 48 hours. Han Su, signal all operatives. Begin Phase 1 infiltration. Nam Yuki, prepare the special weapons. If the Council wants to see what humans are capable of when their peaceful are murdered, we will give them a demonstration they will never forget. As the meeting ended and the world leaders returned to their countries to prepare for war, Kim Jun remained at the window. He thought about Kang Wu's daughter and her drawing of humans and aliens holding hands under a yellow sun. They had killed the man who believed in that dream. Now they would face the nightmare they had created. Far above the Earth, in the empty space between planets, thousands of hidden warships began to move. Their crews were humans who had volunteered for a secret mission 3 years ago. They had spent those years training for a war they hoped would never come. Now it was time to show the galaxy what happened when humanity's peaceful were murdered in the name of justice. The Council thought they had ended the threat of human membership in their organization. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous, a species that preferred peace but excelled at war. The message went out, on quantum channels to every human ship in the galaxy. Operation Righteous Fury is now active. Kang Wu is avenged. Show them no mercy. Captain Song Min stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Wu's Vengeance and watched the stars bend around his ship as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Behind him, 49,999 other human warships did the same thing at exactly the same moment. Song Min had known Kang Wu in college. They had been roommates, studying together late into the night. Wu wanted to be a diplomat. Song Min wanted to be a soldier. They used to joke about how different they were. One who fought with words, one who fought with weapons. Now Wu was dead, burned alive while begging for peace, and Song Min was here to make sure his friend's murderers paid the price. Report, Song Min ordered. His tactical officer checked her instruments. All fleets are in position, Captain. Group Alpha is surrounding the Veltar home system. Group Beta has the Nethys worlds under siege. Groups Charlie through Mike are hitting secondary targets throughout Council space. What about the stealth ships? Commander O-Rin reports that all infiltration teams are in place. The Council still has no idea we exist. Song Min nodded. The plan was simple and terrible. For 3 years, humans had pretended to be weak and peaceful while secretly building the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen. The Council thought they were dealing with a small species that had a few exploration ships. They were about to discover their mistake. Signal all ships, Song Min commanded. Operation Righteous Fury begins now. Remember, we are here to avenge Kang Wu and rescue our people. Show them what humans do to those who murder our peaceful. Across the galaxy, 50,000 human warships opened fire at once. The Veltar home system had 12 massive space stations that had protected it for 1,000 years. Their crystal shields could stop any known weapon. Their defenses had never been tested in serious combat because no one was foolish enough to attack the Veltar. The stations lasted exactly 37 seconds. Human quantum disruptors ignored the crystal shields completely. The weapons reached through the energy barriers like they were not there and tore apart the station's molecular structure. 12 fortress cities that had stood for centuries turned to glowing dust in less than a minute. The Veltar defense fleet tried to respond, but their crystal ships were no match for human technology. Gravity bombs crushed entire squadrons into tiny balls of compressed matter. Neural scramblers shut down the living crystal mines that piloted the vessels. On the planet below, Veltar Prime Crystal received an urgent communication from the human fleet commander. This is Captain Song Min of Earth's military forces. You are responsible for the murder of Ambassador Kang Wu. Surrender now, or face the consequences. Prime Crystal's musical voice was filled with shock and disbelief. This is impossible. Humans have no military capability. You have only civilian ships. You were wrong about many things, Song Min replied. You were wrong about human nature. You were wrong about our capabilities, and you were especially wrong when you chose to burn our friend alive. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. The gas-being Nethys worlds found their atmospheric processors shut down by human cyber weapons. Without the machines that maintained their gaseous environment, the Nethys could not survive on their own planets. The proud Altair system, with its ring of orbital cities, watched in horror as human stealth ships materialized inside their supposedly impenetrable defenses. The ships had been there for weeks, invisible and waiting. At the same time, Commander O-Rin was leading her infiltration teams inside the most secure facility in Council space, the military command center of Nexus Prime itself. O-Rin had been posing as a cultural exchange student for 2 years. She spoke perfect Council standard and knew the security procedures better than most of the guards. She had made friends with alien students, attended their parties, and helped them with their homework. None of them suspected that the friendly, human girl was actually a highly trained military operative with enough explosive devices hidden in her room to level half the station. Alpha Team, report, O-Rin whispered into her communication device as she crawled through a maintenance tunnel toward the command center. Beta Team has taken the power grid, came the reply. Gamma Team controls communications. Delta Team has secured the weapon systems. It was almost too easy. The Council had never imagined that the peaceful humans walking among them might be soldiers in disguise. For 2 years, human operatives had mapped every critical system, made copies of every security code, and planted surveillance devices in every important room. O-Rin reached the command center's main server room, The computers that controlled the Council's entire military network were protected by the most advanced security systems in the galaxy. Unfortunately for the Council, human hackers had been studying those systems for months. Rin plugged in a small device that looked like a standard data storage unit. The device contained a computer virus designed specifically for Council technology. Within seconds, it had spread through their entire network. Every Council ship in the galaxy suddenly found their navigation systems displaying random numbers. Their weapon-targeting computers began identifying friendly vessels as enemies. Their communication systems started broadcasting human music instead of military orders. The virus was designed to be annoying rather than deadly. Human programmers could have made it destroy every Council ship in space, but they chose not to. Even in war, humans preferred to disable rather than slaughter when possible. Back on Nexus Prime's surface, Park Hana was leading a growing rebellion among the Council's own people. The video of Kang Wu's execution had been broadcast across the galaxy on every communication channel. People of all species were watching their government burn an innocent diplomat alive. The reaction was immediate and angry. Protests erupted on hundreds of worlds. Many species had their own peaceful diplomats who had been murdered by hostile governments. Watching Wu's death brought back painful memories of their own losses. The Council leadership has betrayed everything we stand for, Park Hana told a crowd of mixed species in the capital city's main square. They claim to represent justice and peace, but they torture innocent ambassadors for political gain. The crowd roared its agreement. There were Korth families whose children had been saved by human doctors, Zephyrian workers whose colonies had been protected by human peacekeepers, even some Veltar and Nethys who were disgusted by their leaders' actions. We demand the immediate release of Li Te and Yunmira, Hana continued. We demand justice for Kang Wu, and we demand new leadership that will honor the true values of galactic civilization. Similar protests were happening on every major Council world. The government that had seemed so stable just days before was falling apart as its own people turned against it. Meanwhile, the Council's military was discovering just how thoroughly humans had infiltrated their forces. Communication networks were down. Supply lines were severed. Critical installations were being destroyed by saboteurs who had been in place for years. The Rigel Defense Fleet tried to respond to the human attack on their mining worlds, but their ship's life support systems suddenly began producing a gas that made the crew violently ill. They had to abandon their vessels and return to base for medical treatment. The Centauri Guard attempted to reinforce Nexus Prime, but their navigation computers guided them into an asteroid field where human ships were waiting. The resulting battle lasted less than 10 minutes before the Guard surrendered. Most shocking of all was the discovery that humans had been monitoring Council communications for over a year. Every military plan, every secret meeting, every classified order had been recorded and analyzed by human intelligence services. Captain Songmin received regular reports as the human offensive continued. Within 24 hours, the Council's military capability had been reduced by 60%. Within 48 hours, it was down to 30% of its original strength, and the humans were just getting started. Sir, his communications. Officer reported, we're receiving surrender offers from 17 different species. They want to negotiate separate peace treaties. Song Min was not surprised. The Council was a loose alliance held together by the promise of mutual protection. When that protection failed, the alliance began to crumble. Tell them they can surrender. To Admiral Park Hana on Nexus Prime, Song Min replied. She speaks for Earth in these matters now. The irony was perfect. Park Hana, who had watched her friend burn alive, was now accepting the surrender of the government that had murdered him. But Song Min was not finished with the real criminals. His ship and 12 others broke away from the main fleet and headed for a secret location in deep space. Intelligence reports suggested that Veltar Prime Crystal and Nethys Cloudmind had fled there when their homeworlds fell. We're going to finish this personally, Song Min told his crew. Those two creatures ordered Wu's execution. They're going to pay for what they did. The secret base was hidden inside a hollow asteroid, protected by the most advanced defenses the Council could build. It should have been invisible to human sensors and impregnable to human weapons. Unfortunately for its occupants, humans had been tracking every Council leader for months using microscopic surveillance devices. Prime, Crystal, and Cloudmind might as well have sent Songmin a written invitation. 1 year after the fall of the Galactic Council, President Lee Hai stood before the largest gathering of sentient beings in galactic history. The new assembly hall on Nexus Prime could hold representatives from over 300 species, not just the 12 that had once ruled the galaxy, but dozens of smaller civilizations that had been ignored or oppressed by the old system. Lee Hai had been elected by popular vote across all member worlds. She was not the choice of Earth's government, but the choice of billions of beings who had watched the video of Kang Wu's death and decided they wanted leaders who would never allow such cruelty again. Fellow citizens of the galaxy, Lee Hai began, her words translated into hundreds of languages. Today we celebrate the first anniversary of the Galactic Federation. We gather not as subjects of distant rulers, but as equals in a truly democratic alliance. The audience included beings of every imaginable form. Crystalline Veltar, whose leaders had been imprisoned for war crimes. Gaseous Nethys, who had helped overthrow their own government. Reptilian Korth, whose children played with human kids in integrated schools. Insectoid Zephyrians, whose art now decorated human museums. But it also included representatives of species the old council had never acknowledged. The plant-like beings from the outer rim who communicated through chemical sense, the energy entities from the galactic core who lived inside stars, the silicon-based life forms from heavy gravity worlds that the Council had declared non-sentient because they thought slowly. In the front row sat Admiral Park Hana, now Supreme Commander of Federation Defense Forces. Beside her were Lee Tae and Yoon Mira, who had survived their captivity and now served as directors of the new Interspecies Communication Institute. And in a place of honor sat an elderly human man with kind eyes and gray hair, Elder Kang Dae, father of the diplomat whose death had changed the galaxy. 1 year ago, President Lee Hai continued, a good man died because he believed in the possibility of peace between species. His killers thought his faith made him weak. They discovered that nothing is more dangerous than those who see their peaceful murdered before their eyes. The audience was completely silent. Every being present had seen the video of Wu's execution. It had become the founding document of the new Federation, a reminder of what happened when governments valued power over justice. The old council claimed to represent order and stability, Lee Hai said. But order built on the oppression of the weak is not stability. It is tyranny waiting to collapse. True peace can only exist when all beings are treated with dignity and respect. She gestured to the diverse crowd before her. Look around you. This is what Ambassador Kang Wu dreamed of. Not human dominance, but genuine cooperation between equals. Not the rule of the strong over the weak, but justice for all. The applause was thunderous, but it came in many forms. Some species clapped their hands or limbs. Others made musical sounds. A few created light displays. The Veltar present resonated in harmony, not the cold, superior tones their leaders had once used, but warm, welcoming music. After the ceremony, Elder Kang Dae was invited to speak at the memorial service for his son. The Kang Wu Memorial Station orbited Nexus Prime now, a massive facility where diplomats from all species came to learn about peaceful conflict resolution. The memorial itself was simple, but powerful. A statue of Kang Wu stood in the center of a garden where plants from 1,000 worlds grew together. The inscription was carved in every known language. He died believing in peace, and his death taught us the true cost of justice. Elder Kang Dae's voice was soft but clear as he addressed the gathered crowd. My son wrote to me before his final mission. He said he hoped to build a galaxy where children of all species could walk among the stars without fear. He never lived to see that dream fulfilled, but you have built it in his memory. The crowd included many children, young beings from dozens of species who attended integrated schools throughout Federation space. Human children played with Zephyrian younglings whose wings sparkled in the sunlight. Korth hatchlings shared toys with Veltar crystal buds who would someday grow into towering adults. The leaders who killed my son believed that different species could never truly cooperate, Elder Kang Dae continued. They thought peaceful beings were weak and violent beings were strong. But strength is not measured by your ability to cause pain. It is measured by your ability to endure pain for the sake of others. In a secure facility on a distant moon, Veltar Prime Crystal and Nethys Cloudmind served their sentences. They were not executed. The Federation had abolished capital punishment as barbaric. Instead, they experienced the same gradual heat that had killed Kang Wu, day after day, year after year. But unlike Wu, they could end their suffering at any time by pressing a button that would record their confession and apology. They had only to admit their crimes and express genuine remorse for their actions. Neither had pressed the button yet. Their pride was stronger than their pain. Most former council leaders had made different choices. The Korth Chancellor had publicly apologized and now served as director of refugee assistance programs. Several Zephyrian generals had joined the Federation military, using their strategic skills to protect the peace they had once threatened. Even some Veltar and Nethys had found redemption. A group of young Veltar artists created beautiful crystal sculptures celebrating interspecies cooperation. Nethys scientists shared their knowledge of energy manipulation to help build better power systems for all Federation worlds. The galaxy had not become a human empire, despite humanity's overwhelming military victory. Instead, it had become something the old council could never have imagined. A true democracy where every sentient being had a voice. The most remarkable thing about the human response, President Lee Hai had said in an interview, was not their military capability, but their restraint. They could have enslaved every species in the galaxy, but they chose to liberate them instead. The Federation's laws reflected this philosophy. No species could be forced to join. No world could be conquered for its resources. No being could be harmed for their political beliefs. And most importantly, no diplomat could ever again be subjected to tests that endangered their lives. The Charter of Galactic Rights was carved into the walls of every Federation facility in letters 10 feet tall. Every sentient being has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness among the stars. No government may violate these rights, and any government that attempts to do so forfeits its right to exist. Admiral Park Hana oversaw the enforcement of these principles. The Federation Defense Forces were made up of volunteers from every member species trained not just in warfare, but in peacekeeping and humanitarian aid. We are not conquerors, Hana would tell new recruits. We are guardians. Our job is to protect the innocent and ensure that what happened to Kang Wu never happens again. The hidden human fleet that had destroyed the Council still existed, but it had been integrated into the Federation forces. Human technology was shared freely with all member species, just as alien knowledge was shared with humans. Dr. Nam Yuki, who had developed the quantum weapons that ended the war, now led a team of scientists from 20 different species working on peaceful applications of the same technology. They had created faster-than-light communication systems, improved medical devices, and energy sources that could power entire civilizations without environmental damage. The irony, Nam Yuki often said, is that the weapons we built to destroy, the Council proved more useful as tools to build the Federation. The same technology that could tear apart matter at the molecular level can also repair it, heal diseases, and create anything we need. The economic transformation was just as dramatic as the political one. Under the old Council, trade had been controlled by a few powerful species who exploited smaller civilizations. The Federation established free trade among all members, with strict regulations preventing exploitation. Worlds that had been strip-mined for resources were now being restored with help from advanced terraforming technology. Species that had been enslaved were given their own governments and protected by Federation law. Civilizations that had been ignored were invited to share their unique knowledge and culture. Children born after the Federation's creation would grow up in a galaxy where the idea of one species ruling over others seemed as absurd as the idea of one person owning another. They would attend schools where diversity was celebrated, visit worlds where different forms of life thrived together, and pursue careers that took them anywhere in the galaxy they wished to go. But they would also learn about Kang Wu and the price that had been paid for their freedom. Every Federation citizen, regardless of species, studied the history of the old Council and the events that led to its fall. Never forget, was the motto of Federation schools, that freedom is not free and peace is not automatic. Both must be earned by each generation through courage, sacrifice, and the determination to do what is right even when it is difficult. As President Lehigh concluded her anniversary speech, she looked out at the faces of beings from across the galaxy, creatures that had once been enemies, now working together as partners. Ambassador Kang Wu dreamed of a galaxy where children could walk among the stars in peace, she said.